Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really jumping in deep.
We are.
We're tackling a book that, honestly, it really changed how I think about success. I suspect it did for a lot of you too.
Definitely.
We're talking about Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, the story of success.
Such a classic.
Right. And, if you're like me, you probably grew up with this image of the lone genius, the self-made person pulling themselves up by their bootstraps.
The standard narrative.
Exactly. But our mission today is to unpack the surprising stuff, the hidden factors that really shape extraordinary achievement.
Yeah, because Gladwell's whole point is that it's not just about the individual. He forces us, really, to look at the bigger picture.
Like what?
Well, the context, the culture someone's in, the timing.
Yeah.
Even just, plain old luck. It plays a much bigger role than we usually admit.
Okay, so get ready for some aha moments, I guess, because this is definitely going to challenge some common ideas about making it big.
It really does. It turns a lot of assumptions on their head.
All right, let's kick off with that core idea, challenging the self-made myth. It's so deeply ingrained, isn't it?
Absolutely. In Western culture, especially.
But Gladwell argues pretty strongly that success isn't just about being smart or working hard. How does he start breaking that down?
Well, he basically reframes the whole idea of success. He says it's less about the heroic individual, standing alone, and more about the environment, the ecosystem around them, the invisible advantages. Outliers just pushes back hard against that lone hero obsession.
So it's more like a web.
Exactly. A complex web. Talent matters, sure,
Right.
but it needs opportunity. It needs the right conditions, supportive people, persistence, all intersecting. It's never just one thing.
And the classic example he uses, the one everyone remembers, is Bill Gates, right?
Right. Bill Gates. Brilliant guy, no doubt.
But Gladwell points out, look, his school had this incredibly rare computer terminal back in the 60s. I mean, that was almost unheard of.
Totally unique. Plus, his parents got it, they supported him using it, and the timing was just perfect. Born at just the right moment for the computer revolution.
It's kind of unsettling when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
Take some of the magic away, maybe?
Or maybe it just shifts the focus. It's not just that Gates was brilliant. It's that his brilliance got activated, amplified by these circumstances that almost nobody else had access to.
Right. Without that specific school, that terminal, who knows?
Exactly. His path could have been completely different, even with all that talent.
Okay, so opportunity meeting effort. That brings us to maybe his most famous idea, the 10,000-hour rule.
Ah, yes, the magic number.
The idea that basically mastery takes about 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. Sounds simple, but there's more to it.
There really is. It's powerful because it shifts the focus away from just innate talent, being born good at something.
Towards sustained effort.
Sustained, focused effort. Like the Beatles. Before they hit it big, they were in Hamburg, Germany.
Playing constantly.
Playing insane hours. Over 10,000 hours of live shows, sometimes 8 hours a night. It was brutal, but it forced them to get good fast. They experimented, built stamina. That sheer volume of practice was transformative.
It wasn't just jamming in a garage.
No way. High stakes, real-time refinement. And then there's Gates again.
Back to Gates.
His early, unusual access to that computer terminal in the 70s. That let him rack up thousands and thousands of coding hours before most people even knew what coding was.
So when the personal computer boom happened,
He wasn't just smart, he was already a veteran. He had his 10,000 hours, or close to it, simply because he got that incredibly rare early start.
that's the key, isn't it? The opportunity for the practice.
Precisely. It wasn't a small edge, it was a massive head start. Gladwell's point is talent isn't enough. You need the effort, yes, but you absolutely need the chance to put in that effort. Without the opportunity for deliberate practice, even geniuses can stall.
Now, people have pushed back on the exact number, right? The 10,000 hours.
Oh yeah. Critics point out it's not a hard and fast rule for everything or everyone. Some skills take less, some take more. Quality of practice matters.
But the core idea holds.
I think so. The core message that mastery comes from dedication, if you get the chance for that dedication, that still resonates. It's not just about being gifted.
Okay, so talent, effort, opportunity.
Mm.
And then Gladwell adds another layer.
Mhm.
How advantages build on each other. The Matthew effect.
Right, cumulative advantage, named after that Bible verse. For unto everyone that hath shall be given. Basically, small advantages tend to snowball.
And the killer example for this is Canadian hockey players.
Yes, it's so clear. He shows how there's this huge overrepresentation of players born in January, February, March.
Why?
Because the age cutoff for youth hockey leagues is January 1st. So a kid born January 1st is playing against kids born maybe in November, December of the same year.
So they're almost a full year older.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At that young age, that means they're likely a bit bigger, faster, more coordinated, just slightly.
But that slightly makes a difference.
A huge difference. They get noticed earlier, picked for the better teams, get better coaching, more ice time.
And those small advantages just compound and compound.
Year after year. So by the time they're teenagers, they are better players, but not necessarily because they were born with more talent. They just got locked into a cycle of advantage because of an arbitrary cutoff date.
It really makes you question the idea of pure meritocracy, doesn't it? That the best just naturally rise.
Absolutely. It shows how systems, even unintentionally, create winners and losers based on factors that have nothing to do with innate ability. Society often mistakes that cumulative advantage for raw talent.
So maybe my December birthday is why I didn't make the NHL.
Could be. But seriously, it forces us to think about how we design things like school entry dates or sports leagues. Are we accidentally filtering out potential?
Yeah, definitely food for thought. And sticking with these external factors, Gladwell also hammers home the importance of timing, historical context, just being born at the right time.
This is another fascinating one. He looks at the pioneers of the personal computer revolution. Gates again, Steve Jobs, Bill Joy, Eric Schmidt.
The big names.
And what's striking is they were almost all born within a few years of each other, right around the mid-1950s.
Why was that timing so crucial?
Because it meant they were teenagers or young adults right when the first personal computers started appearing, when the whole industry was just taking off.
The perfect age.
Exactly. Young enough to be flexible, to adapt to this radical new technology, but old enough to grab the entrepreneurial opportunities. If they'd been born 10 years earlier, they might have been locked into other careers. 10 years later, they might have missed that initial wave.
So luck isn't just random chance in this view.
Gladwell reframes it. He calls it a kind of historical alignment, where your personal readiness lines up with a major societal shift. Generational context is key. Different eras offer different windows.
Okay, so we've got opportunity, cumulative advantage, historical timing.
Yeah.
But Gladwell also dives into something more personal. Family and upbringing.
Yes, how the environment you grow up in shapes your chances. Subtly, but powerfully. It's not just what you're born with, but what you're born into.
And he uses research on parenting styles here.
Right. Sociologist Annette Lareau's work. She identified two broad styles. One is concerted cultivation, often seen in middle-class families.
What does that involve?
Parents actively scheduling activities, fostering talents, encouraging kids to question authority, teaching them how to negotiate with institutions like schools or doctors.
Preparing them to navigate the system.
Exactly. Equipping them with a sense of entitlement, almost in a good way, knowing how to make the system work for them.
And the other style.
Natural growth, more common in working class and poorer families. Parents provide love and care, but children have more unstructured time, figure things out more independently. There's often more deference to authority figures.
And the difference in outcome.
Lareau found, and Gladwell highlights, that kids from concerted cultivation backgrounds tend to be more comfortable interacting with authority, advocating for themselves, navigating complex institutions. They develop what sociologists call cultural capital.
So things like confidence, knowing how to talk to teachers or bosses.
Precisely. That institutional know-how. And Gladwell's point is that kind of cultural capital can sometimes be more decisive for success than pure IQ.
Wow. So you can be brilliant, but if you don't know how to ask what you need or challenge something unfair.
You might miss out. Success isn't just about raw intelligence. It's also about your ability to engage with and shape the world around you, knowing the unwritten rules.
That feels really significant. And it connects to his next point, doesn't it? How these influences go even broader into our cultural legacies.
Yeah, this is where he argues that deep-seated cultural patterns, inherited over generations, affect our behavior in ways that impact success or failure.
The Korean Air example is pretty stark here.
It really is. In the 90s, Korean Air had a terrible safety record. Lots of crashes. Gladwell links it, controversially perhaps, but compellingly, to Korean culture's emphasis on hierarchy and deference to authority, meaning junior flight crew members were often hesitant to speak up directly or challenge a captain's decision, even if they saw something wrong. Communication was too indirect, too mitigated, especially in a high-stress cockpit situation.
And the solution wasn't better planes.
The solution was partly retraining pilots to communicate more assertively, more directly, essentially adopting communication norms less tied to traditional Korean hierarchy. And their safety record improved dramatically.
That's incredible how a cultural norm could have life or death consequences like that.
It's powerful. And then he uses a different example, the stereotype of Asian students being good at math.
Right.
He connects it, again, maybe stretching a bit for some critics, but interestingly, to the legacy of wet rice farming.
Rice farming. How does that connect to math?
Rice paddy farming is incredibly meticulous, labor-intensive work. It requires patience, precision, persistence, working steadily through challenges. Mistakes are costly.
Okay.
Gladwell suggests that these cultural values, patience, persistence, meticulousness, a belief that hard work leads to results ingrained over centuries of rice farming, translate well to the kind of focused, persistent effort needed to succeed in mathematics. It's about the attitude towards work and problem solving.
So it's not innate ability, but a cultural inheritance shaping how you approach the task.
That's the argument, that these deep cultural traditions shape how we view effort, authority, problem solving. Success, in this view, is partly an inheritance.
Okay, this is a lot to take in. Let's try to pull it together. What are the big overarching implications of Outliers?
I think the biggest takeaway is that success is fundamentally social. It's constructed. Individual talent is part of the equation, yes, but it needs a supportive ecosystem to flourish.
It's not created in a vacuum.
Not at all. And that leads directly to thinking about inequality. If success depends so much on opportunity, timing, culture, upbringing, then clearly opportunity isn't distributed equally.
So many talented people might never get the chance simply because of the circumstances they were born into.
Exactly. Systemic disadvantages are real, and they often remain hidden if we only focus on the individual. It highlights this complex interplay between culture, context, and achievement.
Which leads to his call for systems thinking, right?
Yes. If we want a society where more people can succeed, where potential isn't wasted, we can't just tell individuals to try harder. We need to look at the systems themselves.
Schools, workplaces, economic policies.
All of it. We need to design institutions that recognize these hidden advantages and disadvantages, that are aware of cultural biases, that try to level the playing field a bit more consciously. It's about fixing the context, not just focusing on the person.
Now, Outliers was huge, hugely popular. But like any big idea book, it has its fans and its critics. Strengths seem obvious.
Oh yeah, the storytelling is brilliant. Gladwell is a master at weaving together psychology, sociology, history into these really compelling narratives that stick with you.
Definitely makes complex ideas accessible.
And it fundamentally challenges those comfortable myths about meritocracy and the self-made person. It forces reflection, which is always valuable.
Well, what about the weaknesses? What are the main criticisms?
Well, the 10,000-hour rule, as we mentioned, is often seen as overly simplistic or rigid. Later research suggests it's more nuanced.
Okay.
Some critics argue he oversimplifies very complex cultural dynamics, maybe fitting them a bit too neatly into his narrative.
Cherry-picking examples sometimes.
Potentially. And there's the reliance on anecdotes. They're powerful anecdotes for sure, but it's not always backed up by broad, rigorous statistical data in the way a purely academic study might be. It's more pop sociology, aiming for impact and understanding over strict scientific proof.
So read it as a powerful argument, maybe not the final scientific word.
Exactly. It's a paradigm-shifting book, absolutely essential reading, I think. But approach it knowing it's making a case, telling a story.
Okay, so wrapping up then, the enduring message seems to be, success isn't just about who you are.
It's just as much, maybe even more, about the world around you, your time, your place, your opportunities, your culture.
And that realization, it's kind of double-edged.
It really is. On one hand, it's humbling, right? It makes you realize how much your own success, whatever it is, might owe to factors beyond your own hard work, luck, circumstance, privilege. But on the other hand, it's also empowering, because if we understand these hidden structures, these systems...
And maybe we can change them.
Exactly. We can consciously try to build systems, institutions, communities that give more people a fairer shame, that recognize potential wherever it exists, not just where it's had the most advantages.
A really powerful thought to end on. Making the invisible visible so we can actually do something about it.
That's the hope.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Outliers. It certainly gave us a lot to think about.
Always does.
If you enjoyed it, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel and the video. It really helps us keep these conversations going.
Thanks for tuning in.